Good evening, Year 12, and welcome to your second learning mat. Today we're going to look at the topic of cohesion, and in particular it's going to be a 15-mark question. Now you won't get any 15-mark questions until your A2 exam, but we have to make sure we have covered them in both year groups to make sure you're well prepared. So keep watching this video for your next set of instructions. I want you to look at page 1 on your learning mat, and in particular on the top right where it says banding criteria. Now, one of the things that you requested to learn a little bit more about last time was banding criteria. Now, banding criteria is used with a mark scheme to judge how good an answer is, and the quality of the answer will determine the level and the final mark. So let's look at a level 5 answer. If all of the things in the description box are met within an answer, and the maximum amount of marks you'd be able to achieve would be 13 to 15 marks. And similarly, if you look down at a level 4 answer, if all the things achieved within the description box were met, then you could obviously achieve a 10 or 12 out of 15. Now take a look in particular at the level 5 response, because there are a few things in the description that you must make sure you include in all extended question answers. Now first of all is the fact that knowledge is well detailed. The fact that there is an application of knowledge and it is deep and it is broad. So you aren't just looking to scrape the surface, you are looking to show off as much information as you know. Also, if you notice, it speaks about relevant terminology being used and used regularly. That's also really important, and it also refers to the fact that there must be clear structure to your answer. Another thing I think which is useful in this banding criteria, particularly at the top there, is it says the weighting of AOs for a 15-mark question. So you can achieve a maximum of 4 marks for AO1s, a maximum of 5 marks for any AO2s, and a maximum of 6 marks for any AO3s. Now that's quite nice in the fact it just goes 4, 5, 6. And when you're writing your answer, you need to make sure that you've covered the correct amount of assessment objectives. I recommend you highlight some of the things I've highlighted on my banding criteria on this slide, and keep on watching for your next set of instructions. In the middle of your learning map, towards the top in the middle, it says exam question. All I want you to do is read the question and highlight any command words that are in the question. When you've highlighted the command words, I want you to draw an arrow away from the command word and write what that command word actually means. I want you to press pause whilst you complete that task. When you think you have finished that task, you can then press play again to make sure your answers are correct. Do not cheat and look ahead and watch the remaining part of the video, but make sure you press pause before checking your answers. Rather cheekily, this question actually has 2 command words in it. The first one being explain, and we know explain is to set out purposes or reasons. The second is suggest, and they have defined suggest as presenting a possible solution. I now want you to read the question again, and this time can you highlight the qualifying words, please. Again, a qualifier is what you're going to be linking your answer to. Make sure you press pause before you check your answers. Now the qualifier in this question is group productivity. So any answer that I write, I must make sure I'm linking back to the productivity of this group or team. So I'm probably going to make reference to the performance of it, maybe how successful it is. They're going to be 2 main things I'm definitely going to want to address in my answer. Your next task is again read the question. This time can you highlight any topic words that are in the question. So things that you've been taught or some key terminologies that you've seen over the past few weeks. Again, press pause before you check your answers. Now for me there are probably several important words that I need to make sure I've highlighted. Importance is a very vital word that I've highlighted. Cohesion, strategies, improve, actual productivity I've classed as very important words. So again, if I were to take out all the other language inside that question, I could actually probably answer it. Explain, importance, cohesion, group productivity, suggest, strategies, improve, actual productivity. And just from me highlighting a few things there, I've been able to whittle down some of the terminology. Keep watching for your next instruction. Right, the next thing I want you to do is to look at the model student answer and where it says examiner's commentary. What I want you to do is I want you to use the mark scheme in the bottom right hand side of your learning mat, and I want you to mark paragraph 1 only, trying to find what assessment objectives have been met. When you find them, I want you to highlight them in the student answer and highlight them on the mark scheme. When you've marked paragraph 1, in the examiner's commentary, I want you to write your own. So I want you to write what's good about that first paragraph, what makes it good, what things are included, maybe even how many assessment objectives are covered. But you're now going to write the exact same commentary that you've seen previously in your Learning Mat lesson number 1. You're now going to become the expert in what a good answer should look like. Press pause now, attempt that task. When you've done it, press play to check your answers. So we're going to start by looking at the content which has been achieved in this first paragraph, and there is quite a few bits that have been achieved. So it starts off with documenting a definition as to what cohesion is, which, as we can see on the mark scheme, is one of the creditable points. They then explain what task cohesion is, and they also do exactly the same for social cohesion as well. So already this answer's gotten off to a good start, where key terms have been described and defined. Then a bit more content is then written about, showing depth and breadth, and they talk about Steiner's model of group effectiveness and write down what the equation for that actually is. And again, if we look on the mark scheme, that is another creditable point. Each section of Steiner's model of group effectiveness is then explained in a little bit more detail. So we've got actual productivity, which again is a team's best overall performance. Potential productivity is the performance on the day, and losses due to faulty processes is what goes wrong, such as coordination losses. So for me, this first paragraph is really, really good. We're now going to look at our examiner's commentary and some of the things that we should have picked out. I guess first of all, definitions or content to do with this topic is well defined and is covered, showing depth and breadth. Defining key terms, if we can cast our mind back to our last learning mat, is absolutely essential in this first paragraph and in your answer. Other good things, it sets out nicely the answer in particular and includes lots of AO1 assessment objectives. Now, whilst we can only score a maximum of 4 for this, it does set the answer up nicely. Obviously on the day, you're just going to have to bear in mind that you only will achieve a maximum of 4 marks. Another good thing I think with this first paragraph is that it is well structured using continuous prose and key terms, and that is used throughout the entire first paragraph. Again, showing depth and breadth of knowledge, and you are actually starting to show off a little bit. I guess if we were going to improve this even more, the Ringelmann effect could be something which could be addressed and included in this first paragraph. But the amount of content we have is more than enough. Keep watching for your next instruction. So there are a few things in this answer which make, or in this particular paragraph, that make it really good. It now starts to provide examples. Now we know that examples or deeper explanation can start to tick off assessment objectives too. Now here there has been 2 examples of 2 recent teams that, as a result of being highly task cohesive, actually resulted in some degree of success. Now also in this paragraph they now start to look at faulty processes, and they make a statement about how it can affect performance in a negative way. That's not an assessment objective 2. But what is though is now when they start to talk about examples of different faulty processes. So a misunderstanding of tactics. That is an example of a coordination loss, and that then would be an example of an assessment objective 2. Poor communication will cause the team to fail. That again is an example of another faulty process. Not understanding teammates not understanding their role will cause the team to fail. And again, we know that is another example. Social loafing. Again, we know that is an example of why a team might fail, and again, will have a detrimental effect on performance. Injury. Again, that is another example of a faulty process, and that then would be an example of an AO2 assessment objectives. Now we know again the maximum amount of marks for this is 5 in total, and this particular answer is addressed 6. So guess what makes this a good answer in terms of my examiner's commentary column? Well, the opening statement starts to talk about how important cohesion is, but it's not quite enough yet for an AO3. Examples are provided, which is essential for AO2 statements, and as we can see in the mark scheme, there have been 6 examples provided. Now in total, like I've already said, 6 AO2 statements have been made, which we know that is more than you need, because you only need 5 AO2 statements to get the maximum AO2 marks. Keep watching for your next set of instructions. No doubt you're starting to predict what's coming next. What I'd like you to do is now read paragraph 3. Again, highlight any content which is mentioned in the student's answer, and also highlight the same content on the mark scheme. When you've done that, I want you to add into the examiner's commentary what makes this a good paragraph. Press pause now, complete the task. When you think you've done it, press play to check your answers. I'm starting to hope that you're getting a bit better now at highlighting and marking the student answer and ticking it off on the mark scheme, so I'm not actually going to go through those answers with you. I'm going to look at though what makes for good AO3 type assessment answers. Now one of the things you guys have written before is that about how they are awarded, and in this particular paragraph they're awarded because the paragraph looks at the impact of strategies that a coach can use to improve productivity. Now that word impact meaning it can be positive or negative, but we know that if a coach puts certain strategies in place, it's going to have a positive impact. That's what the question's asking us to talk about. Now this answer also goes into a little bit more by saying which type of cohesion is actually going to be improved as a result of these strategies. This is a fantastic idea, and again shows depth and breadth of knowledge. Within this particular paragraph, there are also 4 AO3 statements that are made, but obviously we know that actually there are 6 marks maximum that are up for grabs, which must mean the final 2 must be in the final paragraph. Keep watching the video for the next set of instructions. For this final paragraph, I want you to do exactly the same as what you've done previously. Read it, highlight any content on the answer and in the mark scheme itself, and then in the examiner's commentary write your own commentary as to why this paragraph is good. Press pause, complete that task, and then press play to check your answers. Again, what I'm not going to do is go through the bits that are on the mark scheme and in the answer. I'm hoping that you've highlighted those correctly for yourself now. We are going to address though what makes this a good final paragraph. And I think for me it's the fact that this is now becoming evaluative. We know that for AO3 statements you're looking for analytical and evaluative statements. And this becomes evaluative because a comparison is offered. Which type of cohesion is best and why? And actually, as we know, in terms of making sure a team is more productive and successful, task cohesion is therefore more important than social cohesion. What also makes this become an AO3 type final paragraph is the fact that actually now becomes analytical. Disadvantages are given, and particularly with reference to social cohesion and how it can affect group productivity. We know that there are 6 maximum marks available. When we take into consideration the fact of the paragraph 4, where different roles are given, where the impact of how cohesion can be developed has been written about, that then means that 6 AO3 statements have been made, and they are analytical and they are evaluative, which is really important. All you now need to do is you've completed page 1 of your learning map. All you now need to do is turn it over where you can see page 2. This will be the last piece of audio instruction that you get. All the information you now need for your next tasks are all on that page 2. If there are any additional information that you need to add or any annotations that you need to make to page 1, then please do that now. Otherwise, you're free to turn over and look for your next instructions.